wanted to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you guys for coming on my show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I love this because you guys are like two parts of what everybody needs. You sell the houses, and you give us the money to buy the houses, or lend it. Really give it. That's our money.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you guys become partnered up in this?
So yeah, like I was saying earlier, we actually met maybe like 7 years ago. His childhood best friend I met at an open house, and you know, I just kept in contact a year after the fact. And he introduces me to his lender. And in real estate, your lender is like, it's like a team. And so you want to make sure you're in the right team. And at first I was like, I don't want to work with this guy. I don't know him. And so, after the transaction, we actually ended up becoming really good friends. I love the way that he worked, and we became partners for the past 7 years now.
Now you guys must be great because this was your like best friend that like introduced you guys. So it's like you didn't screw over your best friend. I think everyone always when they're a lender, they're like, am I getting the right deal or whatever? So you knew this guy was like legit. You knew he was, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so usually like the clientele comes, because when you think of buying a house, you don't really think I'm going to look at the financing. You want the house itself. So that's kind of what you go for first. So generally speaking, you'll speak with the realtor first. And then, so for the most part, it comes from the realtor to me. So in this case, I happen to have a good friend. He happened to be the realtor, and it was just like a perfect little match. And it just worked out. And that's kind of how we met, and we've been working together ever since. So I've been in lending since 2014, so about 11 years as a mortgage. Well, I'm a mortgage broker now, but a mortgage lender overall for about 11 years. And yeah, we met about 7 years ago, and we've been working together from that capacity since then.
That's really cool that you guys drive like that. What's different about him than other lenders you've worked with in the past?
Honestly, it's just his ability to pick up his phone. In this industry, if you don't pick up your phone, you can lose out on an opportunity. And then just his overall way to explain things to people. He's very clear and concise, and he can break down things very simply put, and most clients do appreciate that. And I've worked with other lenders in the past, and it's either just, you know, they're not on top of it like he is, or so on and so forth, where, you know, it's just they do their job, but he goes above and beyond his job.
Yeah, you want the dream team, right?
Right.
Oh, thank you.
So what makes him a good realtor?
So I will say I work with several different realtors, but he's one of my top realtors that I work with consistently and over the years. And he's just good at the same like, right, like I mentioned to him at one point, I like to choose who I work with. Generally it's more of like whoever works with me, kind of, that's how it generally is. But for me, I like to kind of pick the realtors that I work with, because it just makes it it makes it enjoyable in one sense, and then you work with good people, so that's consistent. So with him, same, right? He's concise, works with a lot of good people. Even me, when, because like I mentioned, I rarely get clients or the consumer to come directly to me. Usually comes from realtors.
Right.
But when I do, there's a couple realtors that I work with that are my top agents, him being one of them, that I trust to work with the little bit of clientele that I do actually get from my end. And for that reason, like I said, he's concise as well, really good at what he does, and he's a closer. He actually gets it done. So yeah.
Well, and now that you guys have worked together for a while, I bet you guys could tell stories. So now people come together, you'd be like, oh yeah, remember that deal? And when they got this house, it was like that. So now you guys have like backstories of other houses you guys have.
Well, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that, because recently he had a birthday party where I don't think you've ever had a birthday party. So he had a pretty well put together catered birthday party at, was it the Manhattan?
The Manhattan. Shout out to Manhattan.
Yeah, Manhattan. It was nice. So he had it catered on the room next door, and I was there, obviously I was invited, and me and my wife were sitting there and having dinner, and he kind of started talking to different people, and like a lot of them were past clients, and they had never met me in person, because it's all like over the phone, or like I send videos and stuff like that of like a breakdown of all their stuff via email, but it's never been over the phone. So like, Ernesto, oh, what's up, man, what's up? And I was like, because it's from your ID, right?
That's funny.
I saw the picture from the ID, but like half the room, I was just there like, oh, you're the guy. So it was funny.
The great and powerful eyes.
There you go.
Literally, I'm the face and he's the man behind it.
That is
felt cool. I'll take it.
Wow, that's really funny.
But yeah. It was a nice little treat to give back to him, because like how he says, it's usually a lot of the things that people don't see. There's so many behind the scene cuts that most clients aren't even aware of, where we're saving the deal, we're resuscitating, giving CPR because it was probably falling apart for XYZ reason. And, you know, this is a guy that saves the deal. This is the guy that really puts in the work behind the scenes and doesn't get
What are the biggest problems and when you almost lose a deal?
So it just depends. So for the most part, I've been doing this for a while, so I try to vet it beforehand because not everybody does, right? So that's why there's issues with certain scenarios where people are in escrow and halfway through and they were never pre-approved to begin with. So once they start
hear about that all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the reasons why he works with me as well is that I vet it beforehand. So I look at everything and kind of look at it from the way that an underwriter would look at it and full on vet it, make sure that I have everything. There's times when I could do it right away, but there's times when I need additional documentation. So I usually tell clients that when you're pre-approved with me, the moment that I send you a pre-approval letter, like you're solid.
It's done.
Yeah, you're good, right? Assuming nothing changes from what I reviewed.
Yeah.
So what can happen is property issues, right? There could be an issue with the property itself that is something that can't be done within the time frame of the 30-day usual typical escrow, whether there's an issue with the property, maybe a roof or a pipe leak or something big that just kind of kills the deal. But as far as what you hear for the most part, it's financing issues, but that generally doesn't happen with me, right?
Because and I've heard that, and as the people that were selling, they were really upset because it was like they lost in that time when they think the escrow is going to go through, they lost another potential person. And then they dropped their realtor because it was like, yeah, that's kind of like bogus. You shouldn't. Yeah. That shouldn't be happening.
And I take that. I take that like really, really, like I don't even know, like it's a big deal. Reason being is because if you're, the majority of the clients that I have are first-time home buyers or just buyers that are looking to buy their homes, right? You have the investors and stuff like that, which it's a big deal to them too. But if you're talking about your family, you're moving your family to a new home, like your kids, your future, what you're looking to do, that's your life. And if halfway through all your hopes and dreams get killed because someone just didn't take the time to really look at things, that's not cool.
Sometimes they have to be out at their place at a certain time, and then now they're homeless because of bad work, I guess.
Exactly. No, we actually just had this experience happen with a client of ours that we actually closed back in November, where he originally wanted to go with his friend that was a lender. And long story short, gives him the pre-qual, and I tried calling him, I tried texting him, nothing, crickets. And I go, hey man, this isn't normal. Like normally they would be answering our questions like ASAP. Like they're not even difficult questions. And so I was like, listen, just go to Ernesto and he'll pre-qual you and run everything legit. Turns out the lender pre-qualified him for like $310,000, and we were only getting him like
I don't remember, but it was less.
It was like $265,000. But somehow we made it work. We were able to find him a house in the city that he wanted in Parlier, and it all just worked out. But had we not done that in the first place, he might not have even been able to get a house in general, just because he would have been so disappointed or upset, like how you were saying, and just said, you know what, I got to take a break.
And that's another thing too, is that like I mentioned a little bit ago, it's about really caring about the client and really caring about the people, because it is a big deal. Because I remember when I bought the house that I live in now, it was stressful, and I was like, I do this for a living. This was about like 6 years ago, the house I live in now. And I remember going through the process, and I was stressing out because it was like my house. I was gonna move in with it with my well, then a girlfriend became my wife, but like it was like stressful. I was like, oh my gosh, and so I felt it. So now like I don't see clients as a number, like it's just like another deal that's gonna close. No, it's like that's a family. That's like it's a big deal. So when you see it that way, there's like an aspect of putting your shoes in there. There's an empathy, and you care, right? And when you care, that creates a good overall process for them. It's simple. It's hold their hand. Yeah, right. Be the professional.
So where are all these houses that you guys have up for grabs? You have up for grabs?
So I got a few coming up here in Fresno, not too far away from the Belmont Country Club, and then I got another one that's coming up in Clovis. But anywhere and everywhere, I've worked with investors. We're currently working on a development piece for a 32-unit apartment complex in Parlier. So fingers crossed we get everything situated with that. And then just a lot of working with investors in small communities like that is so important, especially because they're not flippers. So they actually renovate these homes and offer them back to the community at reasonable rental prices in order for them to, get comfortable living. There's so many horror stories, especially in like small towns like Parlier, Selma, Reedley, so on and so forth, where you get a family that's jam-packed in one tiny little 600 square foot home where we can either add on some rooms and professionally, renovate them for them and give back to the community in that way as well.
Wow. So do you guys help people with rental properties?
So I work with a lot of investors that do.
Okay.
And so we'll find properties that we can either expand onto them or vacant lots where we can just build from the ground up. And that way, again, like we create new opportunities for these, these towns that really don't have as many, homes to offer them, or there's not a lot of availability for them.
That's really good, because I know a lot. I always ask, and every realtor I know is like, "Oh no, we don't do anything with rentals at all. They can rent a house, they can buy a house, and blah blah." And I'm like, "Well, that's not what I'm being asked here." I'm like,
renters turn into buyers, right? At some point.
Right, at some point. I mean, that's just, everyone. That's the end game for everybody, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So even that one client I mentioned earlier, he and his mom had been renting for his entire life. And it wasn't until he turned 26 that he finally decided, you know what, this is the year I'm going to buy a house. And he was able to move him and his mom from, renting their whole life to finally being homeowners. And so being part of that process is such an incredible experience because you're offering them that American dream of homeownership.
And what's going on now? I hear now there's a lot more grants and stuff available for everyone to own a home. One of my closest friends, finally got a home a couple of years ago, and she never thought she'd be able. She said she was going to be a lifetime renter, but she was able to buy one, and in Tesoro Viejo actually. And I think there was like some grants and stuff she's eligible. Do you guys help people with all of that to figure out what they're even eligible for and the new stuff that's coming up?
Yeah. So there's like down payment assistance when it comes to grants.
Right, stuff like that.
So there's a big one. It's called the California Home Finance Agency, or the Cal HFA, where what it does is it actually lets you borrow the down payment. So there's certain requirements to that, like a credit score and income requirements for it. The cool thing about the Cal HFA, or the California Home Finance Agency program, is that it can let you borrow up to the down payment and the closing costs. But like I mentioned, the cool thing about that is the income requirements. They're pretty wide. They're not as strict. And then there's also like grants. There's a grant called the Empowered Grant, where it actually grants you the down payment. So yeah, I mean, there's certain restrictions to that, like income restrictions and so on. But yeah, they're available. Yeah. And
then what's the deal with it? Because I've known people like doctors and everything, and they're like, well, we don't make 3 times. The payment, a lot, they want you to make 3 times, whatever rent is, and no one really does realistically these days. So how do you find your way around that?
So I hear that for rent a lot, the 3 times, but for mortgage,
not for buying. No, that's what I was saying. Yeah, for mortgage.
For mortgage, for buying, an easy rule of thumb would be 50% of your debt to income ratio. So pretty much, you can go up to half of what your gross monthly income is. Okay. So if you're salaried, so mortgage calculates income a little different, but if you just, let's say someone that's a salaried employee, just for simple numbers, if they say they make 10 grand a month, you can go up to $5,000 in monthly liabilities, like credit liabilities. Okay. Meaning like a mortgage payment and like car payments, you have to fit that all in. So if you have 0 debt, then you can essentially go up to $5,000 mortgage payment. And whatever that mortgage payment correlates to as far as a purchase price, that's what you qualify for. And then you reduce that based on how much debt you have. So if you have, let's say, a $500 car payment, that goes from $5,000 to $4,500. A couple of credit cards, let's say $100 each, that's another $200 below that. So now you can qualify for up to about a $4,300 mortgage payment. Essentially, that's how you qualify. Okay. And it's only actual credit liability. So it's not like phone bills or anything like that, just revolving credit, meaning like credit cards, auto loans, installment loans, stuff that's actually on your credit. That's kind of the way they look at it. And it's a little more complicated than that. So there's like first-time home buyers that you can go up a little bit higher on debt to income. The down payment assistance program can be a little bit more restricted with that as well. So it just kind of varies. But an easy rule of thumb is just half. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So where can we see all that you guys do? You said you do some videos online. Do you give some tips?
So Instagram, yeah. So I've as of late, I've been a lot better at that. But yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent with giving some just home ownership tips. Pretty much avatar client, right? Like who you were, some of the information that I would want to know myself.
Right, and things are always changing. How do you guys deal with that? Because that's the biggest thing. I think things are constantly changing, so
we just gotta roll with the punches. Yeah. Roll with the punches and continue to evolve in this industry. With more technology coming out, putting ourselves on podcasts like this and staying relevant.
staying up to date with what's going on. Yeah.
With everything, you know, everyone, the number one question I always get asked, I'm pretty sure he gets it a lot too, is now the best time to buy?
Yeah, I think
that's the number one question.
Number one question, yeah.
And the best way to answer that one is, honestly, it's a one case per person, you know, stat. Like, you might be in the perfect position to buy, your friend might not be. Or you might not be right now, but, you know, tweaking some things, and in a few months you might be in the future. And that's why it's so important to talk with a lender like Ernesto, where, you know, you get pre-qualified, and then say, you know, maybe not right now, but in a few months, he's going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to get ready for that.
Yeah, and you don't know until you know. Like, I have a lot of people like, I'm so scared, I'm so nervous, and I'm like, it's not that bad, I got you. Like, once we look at it, like, it wasn't all that bad when it's all said and done. And that's the thing, is the fear of just not knowing. And some people think they can't qualify, and then they do. And they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I've even had people with like great credit and great income be like, I didn't think I could qualify. And I'm like, why not? And you don't need to have great credit and, you know, and great overall, you know, to qualify. You just have to see if it fits you, and then you have to see if you're ready. That's it.
Well, I hear more. Isn't it more like, is it a right time to sell than it is the right time to buy? Isn't that a big complaint too?
I would say it's, again, a case-by-case basis.
Because people think if they hold off, somehow they're going to get way more in the future. I hear that a lot.
And so, yes, so there's people where I've encountered, you know, they sold their house maybe like 5-6 years ago, and then they're like, had I held on to it, I was like, my friend, hindsight's 20/20.
But where do you live now? You know what I mean? Like, if you bought something then you know?
Exactly. And so, like, I always tell clients, I go, in the 8 years that I've been in real estate, I've never had a single client come back to me and say they regret buying a home.
Right.
And so, with selling, I mean, you might regret, because you might say, had I held on a little bit longer, I might have made another $100,000. But again, like how he said, where are you living now? And so your first home is going to be your stepping stone into, you know, your actual dream home. Yeah,
so, it always gets better. I mean, that's the goal again.
Exactly.
And so your Instagram, so you're always showing us the new houses that are on the market?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at housesondeck_, and I'll post tips and tricks on how to get the deal closed or how to get your offer accepted. That's a big one that most people don't realize. Like, that's the most important part, is just getting your offer accepted.
How do you get your offer accepted?
So one of my mentors broke it down easily. He goes, you got to find the seller's motivation, what they owe on the property, and then, you know, what can you offer really to sweeten the deal. And so once you find all three, you know, you just got to maneuver around what can get the deal closed.
What do people offer to sweeten the deal? What's one of the...
So one of the most common ones is obviously asking, you know, giving them what they're asking. But again, I always tell clients, depending on how long the house has been on the market, you know, if it's just fresh off the market and you got 3 offers on the table, you know, you might need to get rid of some of your contingencies, which is some of your protections like a home inspection or just a loan contingency as well. And then say the house has been kind of on the market for a few days, maybe not so many offers. Well, maybe you can give them what they're asking for, and then ask for your closing, a little bit portion towards your closing costs. And then if the house has been on the market for, you know, 2 weeks or even a month, you know, you can ask for whatever you want, really. You can ask, you know, 10 grand off, get your closing costs covered. You know, depending on what your own personal requirements are, you can make that happen.
So Houses on Deck, that's your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
EP Loans.
EP Loans.
So,
do you guys do videos together?
Yeah,
we actually did recently.
Together,
yeah. So we recently did a little interview, broke it down into some videos, and have started putting them online. Yeah.
So people should go to you before him. Is that the rule of thumb typically?
Honestly, for the sake of the yes. So they definitely have me as a realtor and represent them.
Yeah, just watching. I mean, because that's. Yeah.
Exactly. So they can reach out to me, and then obviously once I get a better understanding of what their situation is, I can definitely refer them over to Ernesto, and then Ernesto will get into the nitty-gritty of, hey, this is what you actually qualify for, or like, hey, you know, if you do this, and that, then you'll be able to qualify for this much more.
Why wouldn't they go to you first? Because what if they have houses that aren't even in your range of what you're selling? Like, what if they're like you said, you have to give them a really little house somewhere else?
I think because I think the dream is the home, right? Like, not the finance. piece of it. Like when you go to an auto dealership, you're like, I want that, car, that Mercedes or whatever car you're interested in, and you're just like, the financing's kind of on the back end. So
you never say, I have $5,000. That's it. This is all I have to spend on something. I mean, sometimes people come in like with that mindset. I'm Armenian. People, they always come in with that mindset.
And it happens. It happens. I just think it's not like the general consensus of how the process works. Although you're right, generally you want to know where your financing is before you start. But what gets you excited is the house itself. So that's why it usually works the other way around. And then once they know what they're qualified for, they just look at their finances and we discuss strategy. We discuss what makes sense from a financial standpoint. And like, does it make sense? Some people just say, okay, yes, I'm qualified for X amount, but I don't want to cap myself out. Or I'm qualified for a certain amount, but I want to go higher. What do I got to do that? And we can go over different ways of increasing it, decreasing it, and so on and so forth. So I've had people, even as of today, I pre-approved for somebody for like 500,000, and they were like, well, I really only want to stay at like 350. There you go. Well, we'll stay at 350. If that makes more sense, that's where you're more comfortable, then let's do that.
But hey, it's good to know you're approved for more than you want to spend. I mean, that doesn't hurt.
Well, what I tell people is like, let the house tell you if you're willing to pay more than what you're wanting to pay, right? Because if you go and you see at 350 and it's not really what you're wanting, but you walk in and you're like, hey, I walked in and it's 450, but it's like, it checks all the boxes and I feel at home here, then it's worth me paying more, and the house will do the rest. So.
Right. And I just had the experience of helping out one of my college buddies in that same ordeal. They were qualified for way more than they were actually looking for in the beginning. And he started realizing, he's like, we were looking at the 300 range, and he's like, I'm not really finding anything I really like. And I go, my friend, well, once you go over a certain amount, you start seeing different opportunities in your homes, more upgrades, more better layouts, so on and so forth. And so shopping below your means is very important as well. Because I always tell clients, hey, you see the price tag once, but you see that monthly mortgage every single month. So,
right.
Yeah.
So then did you finally get him a house?
Yeah, no, we closed actually around his birthday, so that was neat.
And that's a birthday present?
Yeah. And so, ex-Marine, so I was very honored and privileged to help him out.
Is there stuff for them too? Isn't there grants that's available?
The VA loan. So the VA loan is one of the best loans that there is out there. You get generally better interest rates on it, 0 down. For the VA loan.
Wow.
There's something called PMI, which is like a second insurance that you pay on your mortgage payment whenever you put less than 20% down on conventional loans or your traditional financing. With the VA, you could do it 0 down and not pay any PMI, that second premium.
That's really cool.
So that's, well deserved, obviously, but it's a great loan. I mean, if you're eligible for a VA loan, it's a great loan. 0 down and no PMI. It's a great loan. Yeah.
This is so great. Well, I can't wait to watch all your guys' videos. You guys are a dynamic duo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
No, appreciate it. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.
Well, I love it because you guys are trying to keep the arts alive downtown. So tell us what you have going on every Friday.
Michael?
Well, for a variety of reasons, and it's a bizarre story how we got there, but a group of us have decided that we're going to try to organize people, get them together, have some fun, do something weird, watch old movies, get up and dance, sing, yell dirty words at the screen, just kind of, in other words, kind of resist in our own weird way. So what we're doing, and we're coming up on week 2, so we're just getting started. We're still feeling our way a little bit, but we're up at Harts Haven in the Tower District, and we have doors open at 9. We run short subjects and cartoons and previews, and then at 10 o'clock we run an old movie. Now, we started with Eraserhead because David Lynch had just passed, but we're going to do old schlock stuff. We've got an old Dracula movie coming up this week from Hammer Films. Next week we have, I think, Little Shop of Horrors, the original. So it's all over the place. And then intermission, and then we come back and we all put on our corsets and jump around and do Rocky Horror and yell at the screen and throw stuff. And then go to Denny's for breakfast afterwards.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So how long does all this last? The doors open at 9, so how long does it usually go till?
We'll be done by 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Wow, so this is the night of entertainment.
Yeah, it's a full night of entertainment for only a $10 donation. So you get quite a bit of entertainment, quite a few hours. Plus, we're going to have a rotating cast of guest comedians coming in pretty regularly to do comedic commentary on the shorts and the trailers and some of the so bad they're good films.
This is why I'm never sending you any of my shorts.
So it'll be along the lines of MST3K or riff tracks. You know, we're playing with the screen, because all of this is about motivating people to get off their asses and to participate and to be a part of the arts.
This is really cool. So what comedians do you have, local comedians that we know?
Let's see here. This week, Antonio Martinez will be there, and the comedian slash hip-hop artist Theta will be there as well. And we're going to have Brendan Loya, who's I've worked with a few times. I worked with him on a short film recently. He's extremely funny. Who else? The very funny Michael Birch, who's been doing comedy for a long time. He's a real pro. He's extremely funny, and he knows movies, and he's great with an audience. And
who'd you have last week?
We did not have anyone last week.
So comedy's going to be different this time.
And every week will be different. The short subjects will be different. Some will be political shorts. We have we all tend to lean a very leftward, and so we have little drop-ins reminding people about boycotts and stuff like that. So it's a combination of entertainment and politics and lifestyle and you name it. It's a big hodgepodge mess is what it is.
So what incredible minds came together to think, do what you do at home and bring it to the tower out there? Because that's pretty interesting.
It's a little bit of a convoluted story. I will try to get it as quickly as possible. So this starts about a year and a half ago. The lady that I've been dating had never been to see Rocky Horror in a theater. She'd seen the video, the DVD millions of times,
right.
But that's not doing Rocky Horror. You
there
have
really
to do
is
it.
a difference.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's.
And so she was searching around, and it was playing at the Hanford Fox. Now, I had gone to 6th through 10th grade in Hanford. I had gone to that theater millions of times. It's a beautiful old palace. It's a courtyard with balconies, and it's a lovely theater. So I was like, sure, let's go. So we go down there. First thing they do is they have the volume of the film so loud that you can't hear the audience participation, which didn't really matter because nobody in the audience knew any of the lines. When I said castles don't have phones, the entire audience busted up laughing. Instead of them knowing that it's a deliberate part of the movie, they were like, oh, that's cute. So that bothered me. So I go to class. I teach history at Fresno City. So I go to class on the following Monday, and I go to my class, 50% of which is queer. And I said, you would not believe it. I went and I described what happened, and one of the students raised his hand and said, what's Rocky Horror?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so now I'm a little
goodness.
upset. So I'm a little worried. So then a couple weeks later, the Labyrinth had a show with the shadow cast. So we went, and it was much better. The audience participated. It was a good experience for Kim, and everything was fine. Jump ahead. We're at Disneyland with her daughter and son-in-law, and they're wonderful people, but they are as straight as you can get. I mean, she's a school teacher, he's a UPS driver, and they go on cruises. Okay, so that kind of and we're at Disneyland, right? Now Disneyland is okay, but it's all about consumerism and control and conformity. And after about 6 hours, my head wants to explode. I got Bugs Bunny ears. I don't take Mickey Mouse ears. I take Bugs Bunny ears. I don't always wear them, but I do have them. And sometimes I wear them just to piss people off. So I'm getting really irritated by all of this crap. And I turn to Kim and I go, Rocky Horror's been playing at the New Art since 1976. It's a Saturday night. We got time. We're going to Westwood. So we make arrangements with the kids. I hate to say that about people who are in their 40s, but anyway. They're going to go have dinner. We're going to meet them there because we're going to get from Orange County up to Westwood. So we're on our way up there. But as I'm driving up there, I go, you know, part of the reason that I'm doing this is because the conformity is making me crazy. But even at Rocky Horror, there's a certain level of conformity. You know, if I were to show up in the wrong corset, people would look at me askance, right? I mean, it's just there are rules, right? And so I start feeling a little sad about that, right? That there are rules, but we get there, and the guy working the line, who is ultimately the MC for that night, is dressed as a hamster. And I went, this is a perfect analogy for the world. Right? Trump's America is Disneyland. It's all about control and consumerism and conformity. But I can find my Rocky Horror, but even there I can be the hamster. And so that's why the hamster pops up in our stuff, and we talk about all the hamster, because we want to be the hamster. So then we get talking, Brendon and I get talking, a couple other friends and I get talking, and we're all movie buffs, and we watch very strange movies, and it was like, why don't we kind of combine everything? And that's kind of how this came apart. And so my son Nick, Brendon, Kim, Dorian, and a few others, Jace, we kind of got together, planned it out. I've been doing the editing and stuff to get the programs put together. Brendon's rounded up the comics. I'll make some adjustments. And we're just kind of seeing what happens. So we planned an initial 13 weeks. We picked Hearts because it was available. It's small, but it's okay.
How small is it? Like, how many people can come?
We can get probably 50 people
that's
for
good.
a show.
That's good. That makes it kind of more interactive, too. I like that. And that's like a regular, when you see a comedy show, it's kind of small like that, too, when you get interaction.
It's big enough to be a crowd, but still feel inclusive and intimate.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I like that.
And if we outgrow it, we've already talked to some other venues that we could move to. So we're
and that's really smart. I'm glad you guys started small. We see how it goes. I like that.
Not that we want to move out of Hearts Haven. They're great. Yeah. They're really great, and I encourage everyone to go there. They're a really wonderful used bookstore as well as a venue, and they're really great to their artists and their customers, and people should know that.
Yes, support the arts, yes.
And you know, the revolution in the 60s began in the bookstores and the back rooms of bookstores and bars in Berkeley, and there's no reason why it can't happen.
That's awesome. We still have bookstores, right?
Well, we do in the tower. We got bookstores in the tower. We got Bookish. We've got Hearts. We've still got them, and so we've got those back rooms. And
people seem to just enjoy hanging out in a bookstore before a show, especially a show for people who like maybe geekier things. It seems like everyone just enjoys being in a bookstore.
Yeah. It's fun because the books are set up in different sections and people go find stuff to look at. I mean, one time I was there for a comedy night and I was fascinated by a redneck cookbook that actually had a recipe for making a grilled cheese sandwich. And
I would love that cookbook, by the way. Where is this?
Well, I went back and tried to get it at a later time, and it was gone. Somebody else had bought it.
That's my jam.
I wanted it.
We grew up with all this Armenian food, so to me it's a luxury whenever I can have mac and cheese and grilled cheese. I never had that growing up. I don't know about you.
I think the key is to use mayo on the bread when you fry it.
Okay.
Well, we don't have the bug. We can't. We don't have any reference.
No, all it was you take a piece of bread, and you put a piece of cheese on it, you put another piece of bread on it, you put butter on the bread, and you put it on the pan, and you flip it over, and but it was written like a legit recipe with measurements and timings, and it was amazing.
That is so fun. So concession stand, do people bring their own candy and soda? Like, how does that work?
We have a snack bar that we're using to try to generate a little bit of income, because this is all, we're winging it at this point, and so we're figuring things out. We'll some of this stuff we'll ask forgiveness rather than permission. We're working it out as we go, and so to try to cover the expenses. Because we have printing expenses and other expenses, and we got to pay for the hall. We do have a snack bar, candy, popcorn, sodas.
Awesome. I love snacks.
We also know that it's a long evening, and some people, and this even in the first week, some people came to watch the first movie but had no interest in Rocky Horror and they left, and some people came just for Rocky Horror because they had no interest in the first movie. So we're going to have a taco truck there from about 9 until somewhere in the middle of the first movie, and then as you're getting closer to midnight, you really don't need the taco truck, and so they'll be shutting down. So in addition to the snack bar, we also will have even bacon-wrapped hot dogs.
Love it. No, and this is so great, because I think right now, a typical Friday night out, everything's kind of expensive. You can't even go anywhere and talk anymore, because you go to the bar, restaurant, everything's so loud. So I really like this as a nice little hangout alternative. I can't wait to go and check it out.
Yeah, we're asking for $10 to come in the door. We have the snack bar that we price it so that we make a little off of everything. And it's
good. No, I'm glad
a little bit, but not a lot.
The venue has to get paid.
And the venue has to get paid, so we have to.
Oh, I'm glad there is snacks. I hate when I go to when there's not. Some of those plays and everything, they don't have anything, and I like to have snacks. So I'm glad you have.
No, we have that, and then we also have the food truck. And we also for Rocky, we also have. The prop bags available. So the things you need to throw, the things you need to make noise, the party hat, the party favor.
So you encourage bad behavior.
Well, of course. It's like the whole idea is a part. Now, we do have limitations, and I want to make this clear because it's more for the venue than anything else.
Right.
In the past, in Rocky, there's been a lot of messy stuff that's been part of the gig.
We can't get messy at a bookstore.
You can't get messy in the bookstore or in that venue because it's a jazzercise place and other stuff as well. So you kind of want to keep it clean. So no water. We can't do the water pistols. Can't do the water bottle. We can do the paper on the heads, and we do include that in the prop bags. But we don't do the hot dogs. We don't do the toast. We don't do the rice. We don't do the confetti because all of that stuff makes a mess. So anything that's food that would attract ants or vermin or be hard to clean up, we don't include. But we do have the balloon. We got the glove. We got the newspaper. The bell. The whatever. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff in that bag. And the bags are $5 and instructions of when to use it and all that. So.
What's this evening called? Your Friday night's called?
The Late Night Double Feature Picture Show.
The Late Night Double Feature Picture Show. Okay.
Every Friday, 9 p.m., Heartshaven Used Bookstore.
950 Van Ness.
So if people want information, tell me there's an Instagram.
Okay, we had an Instagram, but the guy kind of dropped the ball. So we're working on that, but we do have a Facebook group at the moment.
So, let's do that. Okay.
So just search for Late Night Double Feature Picture Show, one word, space Fresno, and that will get you there. And we have the posters are up for the first 13 weeks, the dates and all of that.
I love to have a group because we can put our little input, like, play
and
this.
Please do.
Okay.
But also want to know what movies you want to see. I mean, if your favorite movie is Fire Maidens from Outer Space, we need to know that so we can stick it in the list. If we don't know what your favorites are, then we're going to use our favorites, and ours are pretty weird.
And then if there's local people, you could probably put their trailers in for their films.
We've discussed having local artists submit their short films or clips from their work. I mean, we'd love to be able to show off some local artists.
The quote unquote critiquing is really just riffing.
Yeah.
It's like if when you're watching Attack of the Giant Leeches, every 5 minutes there's only one, because in every sci-fi movie from the 50s there's only ever one woman. And they're either the secretary or the assistant, or they might have a PhD, but they still make the coffee. And in Attack of the Giant Leeches, the running gag throughout the whole thing is, does anybody want coffee? In fact, at one time, this one guy is arresting this other guy, but before they go, they stop and have coffee so she can make coffee because she has to have something to do. So it's that type of critiquing, not the, oh well, the lighting was a little off, or it's poking fun at the silly stuff.
That's fun.
And not taking ourselves or anything we're doing seriously, because it my goodness sakes, there's enough of that going on.
Well, this would be really cool if this becomes like a real thing that everyone gets. What's the kind of the vision that you guys are hoping for after the 13 weeks?
Well, we'd like to do another series of films, maybe in Hartshaven, maybe somewhere else, just depending on how big it gets. Maybe.
There are venues that are slightly bigger that we could grow into. We've already talked to some of those. There are venues that are considerably bigger. The bigger it gets, the more organization is going to have to happen, the more, and there's so much. As it grows, we'll see how it grows. And we may only grow it to the size we're comfortable with. So we would like it to grow. We would love to see as many people. I'd love to have a line. Even if we only have 50 people, I'd love to have 35 people standing in line at 9 o'clock some night, so we can go, yeah, we did it.
Would you guys do any giveaways? It almost sounds like something that you guys do some.
There are silly little giveaways.
I imagine.
We got stuff.
For example, in the prop bags, there are cards, because in the song there's cards for sorrow, cards for pain. One? So there's a set of playing cards. One of those hands is smeared all red, and the MC will call out those numbers, and if you get that bag, now it's one of it's about 70 bags right now. Nobody knows where it is or when it's going to come up. So when that bag comes up, that's kind of a weird ass lottery that if you get the right cards, we got a prize for you. And we may do other stuff too as well. Sometimes the Virgin call out. So depending on the crowd and how big it is and how well it goes, one of the traditions of Rocky Horror is to bring all of the virgins, those who have never seen it in person, up to the front and then go through a virgin ritual. And that can include, it's embarrassing, but with consent. And I'm serious. Consent is a huge part. One of the rules of attending Rocky Horror is that you can do just about anything, but you have to have consent. And if consent is not granted, you don't. And so we want that to be free. We want that to be open, but we also want to have people be able to participate. So in the virgin sacrifice or virgin ritual, or whatever it is you want to call it, it's party games, and they're usually on the verge of being pretty risque. You might back in the old days.
It's about 18 and plus, right?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Whatever, fine.
And if you're under 18 and you're a virgin, sit down. But if you're not, we'll bring you up to the front, and there will be.
Oh, so you can't be underage and go to the film. It's one of those things with the family, like.
Yeah, if you come with your dad, I'm not going to say anything.
Right.
We're not checking IDs, but we also, if you're 15 and you show up and you got a beer, we're going to kick you out. Right? I might not let like a 5-year-old in. You'll use your. Yeah. You better come with your parents. It's up to your parents.
Yeah. Okay. But we get it. I think.
But we want, we need to, and one of the rules is all drugs and alcohol must be consumed before the movie starts. So and not in the theater. So we're fine. Just don't vomit. I don't want you just getting sick during the movie. But so. Anyway, you do party games, and at the end of the party game, somebody usually wins. So there's usually something there to win, and it could be a bag of popcorn, it could be a candy bar, it could be a copy of the DVD.
Do you guys do trivia, like little movie trivia?
No, because that's not embarrassing enough. I mean, we're talking about passing a banana down a row of 10 people with no hands, or picking your favorite Disney character. And then going down a row, having 5 people each pick their favorite Disney character, and then going back and having each one illustrate how that character would orgasm. Those are the types of things I'm talking about. And we're having fun.
That is awesome.
And it ain't PC.
I love it. This is definitely a good time. So every Friday night, 9 p.m. the doors open. You guys start kind of like around closely after, I imagine.
The first hour is short subjects, previews. The comics will be making fun of what's going on the screen. They might stop and do a 5-minute set or something. But the first hour, from 9 to 10, is prep. Then at 10 o'clock is the first movie. And so this week is Horror of Dracula, which is the first. Christopher Lee has the best Dracula killing scene of any movie ever. It's probably one of the best Dracula films ever. And then next week is Little Shop of Horrors, the original black and white one, the Roger Corman film. And we have everything. We have some Japanese anime. We have American animation films like Wizards. We're going to do Wizards. We've got schlock like Reefer Madness. We've got high-end sci-fi movies like Life Force. So it's a kind of a mix of all kinds of stuff, trying to appeal to different people.
Something for everyone.
What movie do you refuse to play that's like in the genre? I know there's one you guys are thinking of. Probably a couple you guys are thinking
Shock
of.
Treatment?
No, I think someday
Maybe out of
we
curiosity's
should do Shock Treatment is the ill-advised and never-seen sequel to Rocky Horror.
Really? Okay, I was like, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, most people.
Okay.
The only recurring characters are Brad and Janet, played by different actors. The other actors from Rocky Horror, the ones that play Riff Raff and Magenta and Columbia, are in it in different roles. So it's this, and they they wrote it and produced it and directed it in such a way to leave spaces for the audience to, it was, whereas I've never been convinced that the play, and I think the play was written as the play and the audience got rowdy and then they allowed the gaps in the movie.
That's my understanding.
That was always been my understanding, but with Shock Treatment, they tried to force it. And you can't force spontaneity. You just can't.
You can't.
And so it's a horrible movie, and that's part of its charm. And so we've talked about it. Each of us that are involved, and we all participate equally in the selection, we have very different tastes. And
That's
so,
probably good too.
I mean, one of the movies we're playing
to-
in the first 13 weeks is called Who Killed Captain Alex? And it was made in Ghana by a village.
That's really cool.
Just by a village. I mean, that's what it
I
is.
like it.
Just literally a homemade
On like
movie.
a mini DV cam.
This is interesting.
By just people who love making movies. It's it's actually quite entertaining, and it's impressive what they were able to pull off with no budget.
That is, I'm curious.
I mean, they didn't have a CMAC. They literally had a handheld camera.
Yeah.
And they made a movie on a laptop. I mean, that's
so cool.
That's what they.
It's a totally unique experience.
So we're kind of all over. So I don't know that there's. I think if you went through the group, there probably isn't a movie that all of us would agree that we should never air.
Yeah.
And which means I think we'll probably run just about anything we can.
I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Everybody,
thank you very
Friday
much.
night, 10 o'clock at Hearts
Haven.
Hearts Haven Used Bookstore.
Hearts Haven News Bookstore. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone, I would like to introduce my twin brother, Nico Vargas!
Hey, 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 hey! What's good? What's good, everybody? Woo, man. Don't you wanna, hey, yo, don't you wanna dance? The clock strikes upon the hour and the sun begins to fade. The ceiling of time to figure out how to chase my blues away. I've done alright up till now. It's the light of day that shows me how. When the night falls, my loneliness calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. Say with somebody who loves me. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. Somebody with somebody who loves me. See, I've been in love and lost my senses, spinning through the town. Sooner or later the fever will end, and why not feeling down? You need a man to take a chance on a love that burns hot enough to last. So when the night falls, my lonely heart calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. Say with somebody who loves me. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. Say with somebody who loves me. Yeah. Somebody who loves me, yeah. Ooh, ooh, to hold me in your arms, girl. You need a man to take a chance on a love that burns hot enough to last. When the night falls, a lonely heart calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody, yeah. I wanna feel it with somebody. Ooh, with somebody, with you, girl. Somebody who loves me, yeah. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel it with me, baby. Somebody who loves me. Don't you wanna dance with me, girl? Don't you wanna dance? Ooh. Don't you wanna dance with me, girl? 'Cause I want to, you know it, oh yeah. With somebody, baby, yeah. Somebody who loves me, yeah. Alright, y'all. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
I've been a fan of you guys for a while. I think I've known you for what, like 4 years now?
Holy cow.
How long have you guys been playing? I mean, I know you guys have been playing longer than I know you, but like, I mean, yeah, you guys have a different sound every time I hear you almost.
So it's like we evolve and evolve and evolve, and we have different stages of our musicality and whatnot.
Oh, yes.
You guys can do everything. There's nothing you guys don't play, huh?
I mean, shoot, where does it go?
So what are you guys up to now?
So right now we are prepping for this weekend's show that is at the Rosé downtown Fresno. That is Stars of the Spectrum Festival, music festival that the Flutie Foundation is bringing to Fresno. Last year, it was actually 2 years ago, actually, that Diego and E10, he made a debut over at the very first festival in conjunction with the 25th anniversary of the Flutie Foundation.
Yeah, so in that case, actually, it was taking place in Boston,
Massachusetts. And
yes.
The very first one at Fenway Park.
He said it right. It was at Fenway Park, and
That's
actually,
so cool.
yeah. So actually, kind of the reason why we actually put the mark, especially for the Flutie Foundation, to come to Fresno. Actually, it kind of took a while for the process, but I will say, because me and my brother, we did a cover of Neil Diamond's "Sweet Caroline," and man, the audience just blew right there.
That's kind of music I'm used to all singing. Okay.
Yeah. And they love it, you know.
Especially. So that kind of put us like on the map, especially for them. And especially in terms of collaborating with other artists, I'm actually super honored to do that. But of course, like from the time being, there's been on and off projects here and there. We'll continue to be that way. But then for this weekend, as you mentioned before, it's for the Fresno Stars Fest. So actually some others are going to be coming in town, like from other areas of the United States, like a couple from Florida, one from Michigan, and the other, am I missing a spot?
And I think another one from Chicago, I believe.
Yes, you're right.
And explain to our viewers about the Flutie Foundation.
Well, you want me to go or do you want to go?
I'll go. So the Flutie Foundation, Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism. I don't know if you heard of Doug Flutie. His son, Doug Flutie Jr., has autism, and so they made a foundation back, right now, 27 years ago or something like that, in honor of him. And the main purpose of that is to help other families with their children affected by autism. That way, folks with autism can live to their fullest with resources and with opportunities to really to promote advocacy, and whether it's by art or whether it's by service or whether it's by other promotional things going around. I mean, it's a lot to explain, but I believe you get my drift.
I love that. That's so cool. It must feel great to like do something like that when you're actually getting to do something you love, but for a good cause too.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. So at least for the bonus, like you're not just promoting with the music, they also have runners actually. In Fresno, there's a runner named Kyle Grossman, which actually we met him in the family. Like they're very amazing for what they do, especially for Kyle doing like long mile runs, which I can't count how many miles he has ran, but he has traveled around the world, and that's thanks to the foundation. Like going to Disneyland, Disney World, Paris. Actually, I don't think he told me the rest of where he's at. I don't know.
I mean, I remember all of it.
But plenty of places, I will say that.
That is so awesome. So you get to be a part of that. And then you guys are twin brothers.
Yes.
You guys get along. That's good. Or else you couldn't work together.
There are times where we do and we don't. We had shouting matches and we had arguments, but hey, sometimes that's the part of our bond like that.
We just make things do.
You have your own twin language. I always hear that's a thing.
We sometimes share twin telepathy.
Are you sure it's telepathy?
Yeah.
Oh man, but yes, like back then, like when we were little, it was funny. We were told that we had our own little Babel language. Although it's like I don't recall it. I just don't. Although it'd be kind of funny if I were actually get a time machine and go back and see how it was. And I think that's why like we bonded so well together, especially for being close brothers.
Absolutely.
Do you guys get along musically, like when you guys are deciding what to play or what sounds right? Is that something where you guys come together and usually agree on stuff?
It's usually in a similar concept, although we always managed our ways to create that kind of cohesive effort within and that collaboration. And there were times where he has couple of ideas there and there, and I would disagree with them. It goes back and forth. It goes in either way. So it's more like a back and forth, like a toss of ideas. Sometimes we don't agree with them, and then we always discuss the other analogies beneath those ideas. That way we'll make sure that it's done right.
Yeah, I guess to make it clear too, like we always try to find the middle ground, especially like if we don't agree on something, which is always the case. There's one thing that we disagree on something, so it was like, okay, what about rather we do this instead? There's always a way. There's always a way. But if we can't find a way, okay, let's do something else.
And sometimes either one of us has to compromise for this or that. You know what I mean?
Oh, you guys seem to do a great job. And you guys are available to play at weddings. You play everywhere, at any event, right?
Oh, very much.
Yeah, as long as people call us on the phone, or at least like whether it's by text or whether it's by direct messages, whether in that case.
And then you play the keyboard. You guys do other things.
Yes, I also play the keyboard in the M in a Groove band.
Yes, you're a good keyboardist.
Yeah,
super good.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, though. Though there are times where I don't even know I'm good at it. I'll be honest. Yeah, but I just
know you are.
I'm just doing my best. But Margot, she's awesome though. Margot Montoya, the leader of M in a Groove. Hey, Margot, if you're watching this, hey, you're awesome.
Oh. She is awesome. So that's great. You guys must be great musical. Are you guys going to collab anytime soon on anything coming up or not?
So we have actually in the past and still now actually. So we had a couple tracks actually in the making, which actually the first one that we released together was a remix by a producer named Desk. Actually, like School Desk. It's funny. So we remixed a track called Exabase, which didn't have lyrics before. It didn't have any singing. So of course I made the instrumental first. Nico came in and was like, oh hey, can I sing in it? I said, sure, why not? And so it actually became successful that we even played it at the last festival over in Quincy, Massachusetts. So actually that was pretty well received. And then of course, actually, we collaborated on the next track, which was actually it's a Mumatong / Cumbia trap called Vuelta.
You guys do everything. I can't even keep track. Oh my goodness.
We are all over the place basically. So we had this silly idea of like, hey, what if we could draw in the Latino population, which we believe that it was possible to even weave in trap and cumbia and mumbatón, like you said, within those elements just right, and boom, you know what I mean?
I love that. Where can we follow you online? What's your Instagram?
So my Instagram is NE10 Music. Actually, it's NE10 Music.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
And my Instagram is the Nico Vargas _8035. The Nico, THE Nico Vargas _8035. For those of you who, some people spell my name with a K, but it's with a C.
You just like to be interesting like that. I love it. Okay, guys, you're gonna follow them, and if you want them to play at your next event, call them up.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh I must confess dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.